how would I start a business if I was starting from scratch, starting all over, taking all of the things that I've learned over the past decade or so in running and building businesses and coaching other guys how to build businesses? What would I do myself? I thought that would be an interesting experiment. So I thought about this a lot over the last couple of days, and I came up with a list of things that I would do step by step. So if you're looking at starting a business and you want some solid advice on what I would do from my experience, let's talk about it. So the very first thing that I would do is I would pick a very, very specific problem to solve, or an outcome or transformation that I wanted to help someone be able to achieve. So we're talking really, really specific here, not broad like this YouTube channel. So Bulldog Mindset is about how to become a man. Although that could be specific enough if it was in a certain way, the way that you're going to become a man. But this is fairly broad. But instead, for example, let's say I was starting a fitness channel. I might do a fitness channel all about having big arms, how to grow big arms. I know that seems a little bit silly, but really, really specific outcomes where if someone was browsing through the YouTube channels and they're looking at videos and they saw my channel, they would say, oh, that's exactly what I'm looking for. For example, I could have a channel about how to start a business. And the whole channel is about how to start a business, everything you need to know about starting a business, about accounting for that business, about bookkeeping, about how to find an idea and how to create content and how to get customers, everything about starting up a business. That could be a specific type of thing. But I would look at one really, really specific problem and one really specific audience that I'm going to provide some kind of transformation for a very, very specific result. One of my most successful coaching clients, Gregory from DAP University, he created a YouTube channel when we were trying to figure out ideas and doing the initial coaching with him. And it is focused around teaching someone how to become a highly paid blockchain developer. It's a very, very specific outcome. And because of that, he can create a lot of content around that subject matter, and it results in quite a bit of sales. So he's done, I think, $2 million last year in profit just from that YouTube channel and that business alone. And when he started out, I guess it was 3 years ago, he didn't have anything. We started doing coaching, came up with the idea. I helped him develop the business, and now he's doing really, really well. He's doing better than I am in this business. And part of the reason why is because he has a very, very specific outcome. So I would try to figure out specific outcome, a really, really specific problem that I'm going to solve for people, and leave it at that. Don't try and solve 500 different things. The next thing that I would do is I would pick one medium that I'm going to master to create content on. So what I mean by this is that there's a lot of different mediums out there. So today you could create a business off of the back of TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. You could create web pages or blogs. You could do a podcast. There's a lot of different ways that you could create a business. And a lot of people are trying to do all different ones. I'm on a lot of different platforms, not on every platform, but it's sort of spread yourself too thin, and it's a lot to handle and manage, and you can't become really, really good at one specific platform, which is really the key to explosive growth today, because there's so much content out there. Even LinkedIn is another platform that people specialize in today. So I would pick just one of those platforms, whichever one that I felt I liked the most and that my audience, based on that problem I'm trying to solve, would be most likely to be at. So we know the different demographics. Facebook, it tends to be more of an older generation now. TikTok is super, super young. Instagram is maybe in the middle, in between there. Different interests, different topics. Pinterest is mostly women. YouTube is mostly men. There's a lot of different considerations to take into account there, but I would pick one real specific medium that I'm going to focus on to create my content on. And by the way, when I'm talking about building a business, I'm talking about building a content-based business, because that's what I'm good at. And that is the business that has the least a chance of failure, in my opinion. If you build a content-based business, I've been helping guys. I've probably coached 100 guys and helped them build content-based businesses and been really successful at that. And it's because you can't really fail at that as long as you create content and you keep on going. You will build an audience, and then eventually you'll be able to sell some kind of product. So That's number two. The third thing that I would do is I would study the platform extensively, and I would use the platform as a consumer, commenting on posts, seeing what other people are using to create successful content, what kind of content is performing well on that platform, but basically just studying that platform in depth and becoming the power user for that platform. So for example, I can tell you right now, I've used Twitter. I know how Twitter works, but I'm not a power user for Twitter. I know some people that are really engaged on Twitter, and they're jumping in and searching on hashtags, and they're looking to jump into conversations, and they know all that because they've mastered that platform. Instagram, another good example. There's some people that are really good. They're creating these particular stories, doing posts, doing reels, but they understand the platform. TikTok is another one. What are the trends? TikTok's all about these trends. And so really understanding that platform. LinkedIn is another one. What kind of posts do well on LinkedIn? Mentioning other people, doing really long kind of format posts, doing little hacks for productivity, things like that. Those things tend to work well. YouTube seems to be really, if you're doing long form YouTube, all about creating a really good story. My most successful coaching clients, like Captain Sinbad, they create wonderful, beautiful stories. Even Connor Murphy, I was just helping him with his launch of his product. And when I look at the videos that he's creating, it's all about stories. So the big thing is to study that platform. That's what I do, is I'd make sure that I understood that platform really well, and I was an expert power user in that platform. The next thing that I would do after that is I would plan out a schedule of content for that platform. So I've got my idea, it's really specific. Now I want to have an actual schedule of all the content that I'm going to produce, maybe for 3 months, maybe even 6 months in advance, but probably a 3-month block, so that I know exactly what I'm supposed to produce, and I don't have to come up with all these ideas. Instead, I can come up with all that at one time, and I can schedule those posts around specific holidays, specific events, and have some ability to create content based on what's happening in the news as well, but to have that content schedule planned out for me. It also would allow me to spend some time really thinking about that content instead of trying to come up with it in 30 minutes like I did for this video. Well, actually, it was a little bit longer than that. But a lot of videos, that's what I end up doing now, honestly, because I'm not really focused on that, because I have so many things going on in my business right now that I haven't been able to do that. But I am going to be working on improving the video quality for these videos on the YouTube channel here, and setting up a whole new process. The next thing that I would do is I would set up evaluation criteria to see how that content performed and what's working the best. So I would look specifically and say, when I produce content, let's say I'm producing YouTube videos, what are the key metrics that I'm going to look at? It's not just going to be how many views, it's going to be what percentage is watched, what's the click-through rate, all of those things. I want to track these things. If I'm making Instagram reel posts, again, I'm looking at those metrics and I want to track those in some kind of place, or have some kind of tracking in place. Now, the reason why I say this is so important from the beginning is because it's one of those things that if you have good tracking and good analytics in place in your business, you will be able to tweak things and understand those changes a lot better, instead of just throwing things out there and seeing what sticks. That's what I've done a lot with Bulldog Mindset, because I just haven't had those metrics and had the time. But that's why I would develop that upfront and make sure that I had those analytics, so I know what's the criteria that I'm looking for, what's the KPI, key performance indicator, that I'm going to use. The next thing I would do is, once I have that and I'm creating all this content and I'm able to evaluate that content, and I should be creating really good content specific to that platform because I have the expertise to do that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create one simple, straightforward opt-in to get people to sign up for my email list. So for example, you've probably seen the opt-in. I don't really do it as much on this channel anymore, but if you want to take the Bulldog Mindset quiz, you can go to bulldogmindset.com, and there's a pop-up and you can take the quiz. And if you haven't done that, I highly encourage you to do that. You can see what your Bulldog score is. You can see how that process works. But I have a bunch of different ones. For Bulldog Mindset, there's a financial quiz, there's a confidence quiz. For my other company, for Simple Programmer, I had probably 15 different opt-ins. And to a degree, those things work, but it's too much to manage and you can't really optimize the opt-in. Instead, I would just have one. I want to keep things as simple as possible so I can optimize things as much as possible. And the more stuff you have, the harder it is to optimize things and the more of a mess that you have. So simple, straight, streamline. I would just create one opt-in. I'd figure out one offer I'm going to give. For example, my offer right now is that you can click the link down below to book a free 15-minute call with me or a member of my team to learn how how to become financially free. Definitely check that out. If you haven't already, go click that link, seriously, so you can see what I'm talking about here. And you'll see that there's a VSL on that page. I mean, it's not really a video sales letter, but it's a little video on there that encourages you to fill out the application and to book a time to get a free 15-minute call that's going to go over your financial freedom plan. And then eventually at the end of that, if you're a good fit, then you're going to get an opportunity to join my Well That Never Runs Dry financial freedom program, which you guys should join if it does line up and you are a good fit. But the whole point is that is the beginning of that funnel. And that's one offer that I'm testing. So again, like I said, check it out. If even just to check out and see how that works, I encourage you to do that. But I would set up just one so they don't have 15 different things I have to talk about or advertise. Now you can add things later, but I would just have one main thing so that every time I'm on a podcast, every time someone's interviewing me, I can just say, go do this. And I used to do that with the Bulldog quiz, but then I made things a little bit too complicated. So I would just have one opt-in. Now, the next thing I would do is I would use detailed analytics again to track the conversion rate of that offer so I know how it's performing in every platform. So for example, if I just told you in this video, click the link down below to book a free 15-minute call, I want to know the metrics on that. I want to have a unique tracking link for that video. And I want to say, when I made that call to action in this video, I got 1,000 views, 10,000 views on this video, and how many people clicked the link. And then of how many people clicked the link, how many people watched the video, how much of the video did they watch? And then how many of them fill out the application? Or how many of them booked a call? And then how many of them ended up becoming sales? So tracking all that stuff. The sales stuff is a little bit further down the line, but at least just tracking how many people took up the offer, click the link, and how many people actually gave their email address or signed up for something, and tracking all of those stats. Now, the reason for that is because now I can optimize that thing. And that's the next step I would do, which is I'd optimize the offer to improve conversion and try some new offers until I had a really good one. So I'd take whatever offer I had and I would say, okay, well, what happens if I change the way that I call this out? If I say, instead of, hey, book a free 15-minute call with me or a member of my team, maybe I change it to, hey, click the link down below and get your free financial freedom plan. Maybe that's a way to say it, because it's essentially what you're going to do on the call. So maybe that's a way to say it. So I could try that and see if my call to action improves in the video. That would be the conversion rate from this video to the clicks. How many views versus clicks? I could test that and try to improve that. And then I could test the page. I could say, all right, well, what happens if I use a different video on the page, or if I use different text and wording? Can I improve the page itself to make it so that more people will actually sign up once they hit the page and put in their email address? I would test all those steps along the way. And then if I found that the offer wasn't converting that great, then I would generate some other ones. And I might test a few different ones just to see which one off the bat has the highest initial conversion. And once I had one, maybe out of 5 different ones I tested, then I would just stick with that one and just optimize that one, just continually change that one, continually try to improve that and make it as seamless as possible so that every step along the way that I'm getting the highest conversion rate possible and I'm optimizing every single one of those steps. I know this seems like very micro stuff, but again, this is coming, guys, from a lot of business experience doing this, coaching so many guys and looking at my current business and saying, I wish I would have done this when I started, because I would have all this data and I wouldn't have this mess. I'm doing well. Like I said, I'm doing about 100K a month within the businesses, but there's a lot of mess and there's a lot of overhead because I didn't do things the way that I'm telling you that I would do them now. Hindsight here. So tracking analytics is very important to track all that stuff from the very, very beginning, and only having one offer, right? The next thing I would do is I would create one product with one funnel, and again, excellent tracking. So what I mean by that is right now within Bulldog Mindset, you can buy the membership for $39 a month. You can buy a lifetime subscription to the Bulldog Mindset membership for about $1,000 a month. You can do one-on-one coaching with me. That's about $1,500 a month to do that at the current prices right now. You can do the Well That Never Runs Dry financial freedom program, which depends on what options you select on how much that is, but that's a higher price program. And there's a self-confidence program that you could buy. There's audiobooks you could buy. There's a lot of different products, and it's good to have a lot of products, but eventually what makes things much better is when you have just one product and you pour all of your marketing and all of your effort into getting people to buy that one thing, and you just talk about that one thing constantly, right? So if every video I was talking about the one thing, you would start to hear that message a lot. You'd start to understand that, and it'd be a lot easier for me to communicate that to you and to convert you over to a customer, because that's the thing we're talking about. And then I can focus on that product and make that product as good as possible, so that I'm focused on getting referrals from people that have been in that product. So instead of having all these different products, and I did a little bit better with Bulldog Mindset. With my first company with Simple Programmer, there's a ton of products. Bulldog Mindset, at least there's not as many, and they have different purposes, but I would really focus on having just one product, one funnel. So then all that you'd have to do is create, for example, if you're doing a YouTube business, like I'm doing here, I create the YouTube videos. I know that my call to action is going to be this one thing, and I'm going to tell people to go do this thing. And then from there, it's going to end up selling them one product, and I can talk about that product, and I can just work on just that one funnel and improving the conversions at each step along the way. I can improve that sales page, improve the checkout page, try some different upsells or different marketing messages, different pricing, all those things, just to super optimize that. And I would just do that until I reached $1 million a year in sales. At that point, then I would look at expanding, maybe adding different opt-ins, maybe adding different channels besides, let's say, just YouTube, to maybe going to Instagram and some other places like that. I would add potentially other products at that point. But again, one at a time, bringing those things online. So that's the whole thing that I would do if I were starting out today, is I would do things very meticulous, very carefully, and make sure that I'm not confusing things. I'm not creating a bunch of stuff for me to maintain, and I'm keeping really good analytics the whole time, so I can understand how effective everything that I'm doing is, and I can start optimizing for that. And like I said, one medium, one channel platform you're gonna use, so that you can become the expert at that. Because again, I take this from my own experience, but then a lot of my coaching clients that are the most successful, they have one platform, and they're really good at that platform. I use the example of Captain Sinbad, Nikhil, because he's really good at making videos on YouTube. That's really what he does. And he just really excels at that because he's just focused on that one thing. And that's been sort of a weakness with my company, with Bulldog Mindset, with my companies, is that I've had a lot of things, blog posts, Instagram posts, TikTok, LinkedIn, all these different things. And it's not to say that you can't do those things, but start with one real simple thing that you just become really good at. And then one last thing I'll say that I'll add to this is I would have a high ticket thing that I'm selling from the beginning. I would never start selling a low price product. So the minimum of any product that I would sell with a brand new business would be $2,000. I know that seems really high to you, but the economics on that works so much better. It's so much easier to get to $1 million of revenue when you're selling a product that's $2,000 than it is when you're selling a product that's $20 or $50 or $100 or even $200. It's so much better to have a high price product. In fact, if you could sell something for $5,000 or $10,000, it's going to take some work to build something of that value. But if you can do, that's even better. Now, again, like I said, if you want to get some help in becoming financially free, learning how to build a business like this, learning from my experience with all these things, click the link down below and book your free 15-minute call. If you just want to check out how that funnel works so you can understand how the business works in this case, that's also do it for that. That's a little bit of a bonus tip for you guys. Let me know what you guys think about this. If you've started a business, put a comment down below and let me know what things that you would change in your business. And then let me know what you think about the things that I outlined here. Does that make sense to you? Is it something that you agree with or you disagree with? Leave a comment down below and give me a like on this video if you found it helpful.